One key expert now that I want to turn to share some of his insights, we're so excited to have. This individual is exceptional, frankly, in his own right. And we're so grateful that he's setting aside some time to share his wisdom with us. I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Ramana Gogula, who is the VP of Clean Technology Innovation at Stanley Black Decker. Just to give you a little background on him, Ramana is a highly motivated individual with over 2 decades of international experience in business strategy, sales, product marketing, and customer support. As a CEO of multinational companies like Sybase, he consistently met organizational goals and successfully built strong corporate brands. As a serial entrepreneur, he founded companies in areas of e-learning, entertainment, and clean energy. He's traveled widely in rural India to conduct grassroots research at the base of the pyramid on off-grid lighting before founding the clean technology company Earth and Glow. He developed innovative customer-centric outreach programs that significantly reduced sales cycles and helped in consistently meeting revenue targets. His experience includes setting up operational subsidiaries of multinational companies in Europe and Asia, focused on leading teams to success through employee empowerment that interlinked with organizational vision and extreme customer satisfaction. After working as a venture capitalist in the VC firms Unitas Seed Fund and Anthill Ventures, Ramana is currently at Stanley Black Decker, building a solar agricultural platform that has the potential to impact the lives of over 300 million farmers in India. As a producer of world music, he has collaborated with musicians in New Orleans and San Francisco to record numerous albums. He's performed at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, and his first music album reached the #1 spot on MTV, Channel V, and other major music channels in India. And as a composer, he has scored music for 25 films in South India. With a master's in technology and mechanical engineering from the India Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, Ramana also has a master's of science in computer science from Louisiana State University, Baton Rouge. He lives with his wife and daughter in Hyderabad. And I am a huge fan, and I'm very honored to give you the floor, Mr. Gogula. It's over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Yana, for a very warm welcome. I really appreciate it. Frankly, I mean, everything you mentioned has been a journey that I've been very lucky to take because of lots and lots of blessings from the universe and people around me. So thank you for the very warm welcome. I appreciate it. I'm going to kind of share my screen for a minute. Just give me a minute. Can everyone see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So yeah, I want to first, before even I start this, I want to thank the amazing team at ASME who has invited me to be a keynote speaker today. I also want to tell the startups how lucky they are to have an organization like ASME kind of back them up and get the right avenues open for you. As a serial entrepreneur myself, I wish I had opportunities like what you guys are getting with ASME. So great job, ASME. And good luck to all the finalists today and who have been judged by an amazing panel of judges. So good luck to you guys. So before I start, I know we have a very short window, 12 minutes is what I've got to give this presentation. And I was thinking through my mind last night as I was putting it together what I should be talking about. And I said I'll break it down into 2 parts. The first part is really, what is innovating for social good? What does it mean? What does it mean for a large multi-billion-dollar company like Stanley Black Decker, right? And if you look at what I've been doing within SBD, Stanley Black Decker is basically being a startup within a large organization, right? And what does it mean really to innovate for social good? From Stanley Black Decker's point of view, there are 4 pillars that are critical for social innovation, right? One is you have to choose a large, challenging social problem, a problem that impacts a whole lot of people at the bottom of the pyramid. The second is a lot of organizations today, a lot of companies are looking at building technologies that impact the environment and do good for society. But one of the challenges companies often find themselves is sometimes you choose a problem that doesn't really match the core competency of the company. And that's what we did right at Stanley Black & Decker. We decided that the social problem we wanted to solve is closely aligned, right, with the core competency of Stanley Black & Decker, whether it's technology, whether it's people, whether it's relationships, affiliations. You have to leverage that, right, to build something that changes the world. The third pillar is that whatever you build should be self-sustaining. It should have a sound business model that is woven around it so that it can sustain itself. And the fourth purpose that we actually focused on was this impact has to really help the environment. Whatever solution we provide has to be good for the environment. So these are the four pillars on how I started my journey within Stanley Black & Decker. So we decided we're going to choose a social problem, a large social problem in India, right? And the largest problem, almost 400 million people in this country, right, in some way or other are depend on agriculture for their livelihood, right? And the lifeline for agriculture is water. Water is critical because you don't have the consistent supply of water, agriculture fails, right? In India, there are about 30 million bore wells that pull water out from underground water resources with AC pumps and diesel pumps, and they push this water onto fields. The government spends enormous amounts of money into giving subsidies for these, right? The challenge is that when you give free power, the power is not on the farmer's time, but rather when the government decides it gives the power. And this erratic power supply combined with inefficient pumps wreak havoc on crops, right? And diesel pumps, of course, there's a lot of pollution. And when farmers pull water out, they mostly do flood irrigation. That means they flood the fields because the power doesn't come at the time they want, right? So the water table is depleting. The climate change due to pollution. We saw this as a huge social challenge, right? The second thing is, how do we look at ourselves in Stanley Black & Decker? What are our core competencies? So the first thing I did when I joined the project was, let me see what we are really good at. And if you look at Stanley Black & Decker, we make some of the best power tools in the world, right? And every one of these power tools is driven by a small brushless DC motor. So our motors are the most efficient and well-designed components within these power tools. The second competency we have is, since everybody is on the digital path and IoT, we have very strong competencies in IoT and digital. So one of the thought processes, what if I took this BLDC motor that sits inside a power tool and I blew it up and I attributed that to the social problem we have in India, right? These bore wells, which are run with inefficient AC pumps and DC pumps. If I can put a brushless DC motor into a bore well, right, and link that up with a digital domain so that all these pumps are essentially small pieces of mine that sits under the ground and tap into the water resource, tap into the soil, tap into the atmosphere, and give the farmer the right diagnostic to be successful. And we decided that since AC and diesel were not an option, that we would go with solar. So what happened was, after about 18 months of seriously working on this project, we came up with a pump called Nadi. Nadi means river in almost every language in India. So Nadi is a smart solar pump that sits in a borewell today. And it sends information to the cloud about the water, about the soil, about the farmer, about the pump's location, the pump's performance, the pump's efficiency. And when the farmer is not using the pump, we also push the power back to the grid so that the farmer can sell power to the grid and make some extra revenue. And the idea for me was, because my last company, I kind of lit up villages in Northeast India who didn't have electricity with batteries. I thought it would be cool if you could take the excess power and push it to a lithium battery and farmers can actually light up their homes, right? So we essentially built a smart solar pump based on our core competencies within the organization, based on large social problem. But the way we went about doing this is slightly different. When I took this project on, I decided we were going to lease an 8-acre farm in Hyderabad So we went about, actually leased a farm, and then the two people you see in this picture are the farmer and his wife. They were actually on this farm in Hyderabad. So the farmer actually became a part of our development team, a group of engineers and support people who actually gave information to us on his experience of water, his experience of the problems, his experience of the challenge. And so it was a consistent development process, a consistent innovation cycle that kept moving as we developed the product with the help of the farmer, looking at the problem, being able to solve it on ground versus going and doing something off in a lab and then coming back and putting it in a farm. So this iterative cycle of working with the customer really helped us. And ultimately, we launched it in 2019, the Nadi Smart Solar Pump. We have about 700 pumps installed throughout the country, 500 of them in Maharashtra. And we know as we were scaling this, what happened, COVID hit. And it has a serious impact on putting these pumps. Each pump is, a solar pump is about 1 ton in weight. And we go to remote regions to install it. So it's a big challenge. But nonetheless, we have seen significant success with farmers who have been using our pumps. So why I'm kind of talking about this journey is, if you're a startup and if you're looking at a large corporation to add value to, you might want to see how your innovation fits into the core competencies of an organization, right? So you want to align yourself with large corporations who have the same core competencies that you have. And that fit is essential for your success, right? How many minutes have I got, James? How far am I? How am I doing so far?
You're fine, Ramana. Keep going.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I want to make sure that I don't overshoot the time. So for me, this journey was so, what's the word? In some ways, it was so moving because, when you build technologies as an entrepreneur, and when you're a startup and you're doing something that you believe that is going to definitely impact the customer, if you build it in isolation, right, you have longer cycles to kind of go back and make changes to what you've built. And that's where we lucked out. The fact that, I chose a farm that was close to a large lake, right? So we had underwater, groundwater resources. We never ran out of water. So it is almost like a sandbox. We had a sandbox, an 8-acre sandbox, in which the farmer grew, vegetables. He grew, fruit. He grew rice, and we installed our solar pumps on his farm and removed the AC and the diesel pumps he was using. And guess what? Before we jumped into this farm, the farmer was having just 1 crop a year. Now with solar technologies and with our IoT-based information resource that he gets, he's able to do 2 to 3 crops a year. So it's direct proof that you can impact the livelihoods of farmers at the bottom of the pyramid, right? The second thing we realized is, and I want to kind of jump into the next slide, which is, I'm going to go a little bit on a philosophical side of innovation and a journeys that startup. I really want startups to think like this, right? And this slide to me is really talks about the journey of a farmer. A farmer is a very lonely journey for him, because his land is what gives him the wealth, or what gives him the livelihood to survive for him and his family. And this shot of this farmer is very typical. It says a lot because he's thoughtful. He's looking at his farm, and there's a lot that's going on in his mind, right? And when we were building our technologies, I went out with my team to numerous areas within, Telangana and Maharashtra and Karnataka, to kind of talk to farmers and listen to the voice of a customer. And to me, this is very important. And what I found out was, a lot of the time, what a customer does not say is more important than what he says, right? And when we went with all our high tech, the solar panels, the controllers, the IoT, the sensors, it was a lot of equipment, and we were installing it in farms. Sometimes you see the farmer get overwhelmed, The technology is fantastic. It's good. It works. But from the farmer's perspective, he has to completely reorient himself to take this technology and kind of rebuild, what he's trying to do on his farm. And the voices that I paid attention to was what he did not say, was fear, and what happens, because usually when you put a pump into a bore well and you go away, the installer is gone, the farmer is stuck with that whole technology. If the well runs dry, the pump kind of breaks. So what does he do? So these are questions that the farmer slowly gave to us over a period of time, and that is what helped us build our digital IoT platform. Each one of our pumps right now has got firmware with a SIM card in it that sends out data to the cloud. And engineers sitting, whether they're in Towson or whether in Hyderabad or whether they're in the Philippines, whichever country they are, they can turn these pumps on and off. Our pumps send data about the soil, they send data about the atmosphere, the pump performance, the water levels, and what our engineers do is they're constantly monitoring pumps. And every time there is a problem that we foresee, we call the farmer ahead of time. So it's preventive maintenance. So I think when you do technology interventions for the bottom of the pyramid, it is very important to pay attention to the fears of a customer as they take the technology. The second slide that I like to talk about really is my own personal experience, right? All my life, everything I've done in my life, I would say is a very happy coincidence, right? I got my first guitar because I was very sick. My mother wouldn't buy me a guitar. And I got so sick that my mother said, please get better. What do you want? And I said, I want a guitar. And I got my guitar, right? That was the start of my just hitting on signposts that we don't see. And everything I've done in my life has come to me because I've challenged myself to kind of pick up on areas that other people would not do, right? And I call them hidden signposts. And every startup that is building technologies for the future has seen these signposts, but they avoid them. Sometimes because your VC tells you, no, focus on the problem on hand. Don't worry about what's happening over there. And so you look at the signpost, you look away. And so it's a good decision. It's the right thing for a VC to do. But sometimes it is okay for you to take the path off the beaten track and kind of do something that might add value to what you're doing. And we, as we're building Nadi, actually took a lot of detours to kind of identify these little features that add tremendous value to you. So I want to kind of have startups take the freedom to sometimes take a deep breath and go off the beaten track, go off the main road, go onto these dirt tracks, and you will find jewels there. You will find ideas there. You will find ways to do things faster, right? Sometimes. And I strongly encourage you, like I said, to look at your technologies, identify companies that are working in technologies that are more related with what you're doing, and go to them and say, listen, is there a way we can fit this technology into your vision? And find yourself a Merc to jump into sometimes and take drives on. It's important. So find yourself those companies that you can align yourself so that you can accelerate your own growth. Don't be afraid to take chances. Listen to the customers and listen to especially what they're not saying. And I'm sure that all of you are going to do awesome. That's all I have for today to talk to you guys about. I mean, there's a lot I would like to share about how we built the tech for Nadi. There's a lot to share on the importance of a sandbox, but we'll save that for a longer conversation. Okay, so thank you all for listening to this small talk. I hope you walk off with something that's useful. Once again, I'd like to thank ASME for this opportunity to have me aboard as a keynote speaker. And I thank all the wonderful judges who have worked so hard with these startups into getting this shortlist. So Ramana, with that, I think I'm done.
Thank you so very much. I personally want to take you up on the offer for a much longer conversation because these words are so inspiring and are resonating certainly with me as well. The hidden signposts are absolutely the right way to describe how we should all be navigating our life's journey. So thank you for that reminder. Thank you for those encouraging words. I think they are really falling on the right ears today. And we are so grateful for you for joining us.